What's up, guys? LQ here with the LQ Review. Thank you so much for joining me here at my YouTube channel. With it being October 31st, it is Halloween. I thought that I would take a moment and talk about one of the horror movies that has really shaped my fandom, and that is the Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project came out in 1999. I was a senior in high school when the Blair Witch Project came out. So you got to go back to the point where find footage films weren't really a thing. I think maybe there might have been one or two before the Blair Witch Project, and I can't even say that with certainty. Finding find footage films was very new. It was something that I had never been exposed to before the Blair Witch Project. Again, I was a senior in high school, and the marketing campaign for this was huge. The internet was pretty new in homes at this point. Um, I know my house didn't get connected to the internet until 1997. So we had been online. I had been online for about 2 years at that point. The internet was very different back then. We were still dialing up, getting into AOL and all that. It was very new. But the Blair Witch is one of the first, if not the first film to really create a viral marketing strategy. And they did so by creating a marketing strategy that made people think that the Blair Witch Project was a true story. And so many people bought into it. So many people believed that the Blair Witch Project was a true story, that these three kids, these three college students had disappeared in the woods in Burkittsville, Maryland, and that their footage was found, and that their footage indicates that they definitely met with foul play, and it might have been supernatural foul play. It was crazy. It was a crazy time to be exposed to that kind of marketing strategy, because the internet was so new that people just started buying into whatever was said. And I guess we lived in a much more naive, gullible time, because so many people bought into the idea that this was real. When me and my friends went to see it, we went to see it opening night. Um, I don't think any of us actually believed it was real, but there was still that thought in our head. They're saying this is real, right? Like we were at the theaters and we'd be talking about, they're saying this happened. They're saying that this happened. I don't know. I guess we'll see. So these conversations were happening between us. Like I said, we were skeptical. We didn't necessarily believe that this happened, but we were having those conversations. Hey, they're saying on the internet that this actually happened. All right. So today, you watch the Blair Witch Project, it's a very tame film by today's standards. There's not really any gore in it, and it's the scares aren't really there compared to what we have on film today. This was a very psychologically terrifying movie. It was what you didn't see that scared you more than anything. In a lot of ways, it compares to my all-time favorite movie of Jaws, right? In Jaws, it was really scary when you didn't see the shark. It almost became less scary when you did see him. This was kind of the same thing. We never saw the witch. We never saw what was terrorizing these kids. We knew for a fact something was there, but we didn't see what was terrorizing them. So that made it scarier because it was left to our imaginations on what was happening. So we watched it, and it had some, it was a tense movie. I won't say that I was terrified during the movie, because I wasn't, but it was tense. You get your heart rate gets going during the movie. We went home. We went back to my friend Bill's house. And our original plan, so Bill lives, I don't know where Bill lives now, but back then, his family lived on this old ranch house that was surrounded by woods. Our plan for the evening was to go see the movie. It was a late showing. It was opening night, late showing. And our plan was to go see the movie, and then we was going to pitch some tents out in the woods. And we were going to have a camp out in the woods. And when we got back, I'm not going to lie, we didn't want to pitch those tents. We were 17, 18-year-old guys who were like, let's just stay inside. Let's stay inside tonight. Nobody was admitting that they were afraid of the Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project made them afraid to sleep in the woods. Nobody was admitting that. We were just all like, let's just stay inside. All right, let's just do that. And then I remember it wasn't long after we made the idea to stay inside that night that Bill's brother actually came out and started talking to us about how it's on the news. It's a fake. It's a hoax. The whole movie was a hoax. You guys feel stupid. So it was opening night when the news was reporting on the Blair Witch Project, saying, "Yeah, this is a hoax." The actors are alive and well, and and I was like, "Wow, they pulled off something awesome. They fooled the whole country." I mean, I was excited when I found out it was a hoax. I was excited by what this meant for entertainment. I remember Bill saying, "Well, I guess it's a good thing it's a hoax, because if it wasn't a hoax, what would that mean for the world, right? What would it mean for mankind to learn that there's a supernatural witch out there in the woods? What else could be out there, right?" So, so I thought that was funny, but for me, I was excited about this. Opened up a whole new door in the world of entertainment. Because of the Blair Witch, I really became even more ingrained in the film fandom than I was before. I was always a fan of movies, right? I've been a fan of movies since I was tiny. But the Blair Witch Project made me see a bigger world. It made me look at the marketing of films. How are films marketed? What kind of lore can be attached to films outside of the film itself? Remember, the Blair Witch Project had this whole fake documentary that you could watch before you even went to see it, that expanded on the lore. So it just created this. It created this fascination in my mind of what movies could be. Today, when I watch the Blair Witch Project, it's a little boring. I've seen it. I've gone through the tenseness of it. I've seen it a number of times now. I've gone through the process that the Blair Witch takes you through. It's like riding a roller coaster, right? The first time you ride it, you're scared. The second time you ride it, you're less scared. And then, after you've been on it 100 times, it's old hat. That's kind of how the Blair Witch Project is for me. It's not that exciting anymore to watch. I don't watch it a lot anymore. But it's an important movie to me. It's not one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's an important movie to me. So this Halloween, if you have not seen the Blair Witch Project, I definitely recommend you give it a watch. You're not going to have the same experience that I had, because the climate that I saw it in on opening night is entirely different than the climate you're going to be watching it in. But if you haven't seen it, I definitely suggest checking it out and trying to understand what it was like back seeing this movie at the dawn of the age of the internet. And if you haven't seen it, I do think you'll enjoy it, because there is a good story there. So, what have you guys thought of the Blair Witch Project? Have you seen it? If you've seen it, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. Were you somebody like me? Are you an older person like me who was around in 1999? Did you go to the theaters and see it? I would love to hear some more theater stories, some opening night stories of Blair Witch Project, because I don't hear a lot of them. It's not a topic that comes up a lot in discussion, obviously. So if you have a Blair Witch opening night story, please tell me. I'd love to hear it. So anyways, guys, thank you for joining me here at the LQ Review, and happy Halloween.